Here we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We will be starting shortly. As we're waiting, we have a little video we'd like to share, and then we will share it again once everyone else is here, getting closer to the 3:30 time. But thank you all for joining us and being here on this lovely Wednesday afternoon.
Welcome. We are glad that you have decided to join us today. In order to have an optimal web experience during the webinar, please do the following. When you join, you are automatically muted and your camera was set to be inactive. We ask that you keep your microphone muted and camera deactivated throughout the webinar. This will help limit the number of distractions and unintended tours of your home or office. We will have individuals in the background who will be monitoring the chat box and assisting with any technical issues. We will have a designated time to answer questions, so don't you worry, we are here to support you. If you are able to connect to your modem via an Ethernet cord, please do so. It can help minimize any connectivity issues you may encounter. As you probably already know, technical issues may arise. We want to thank you in advance for being compassionate and giving grace to the presenters as they navigate through any technical issues that may arise. To be honest with you, they are excited that you have joined, but they are also a little nervous. So please practice grace and space today. If you encounter technical issues during the webinar, such as not being able to see the presentation or you cannot hear the presenters, try doing the following. Breathe. It's okay. Think happy thoughts. Check your connectivity level. Are you still connected to the internet? How many bars do you have in your Wi-Fi signal? Check your volume level. Is your volume turned up? Do not unmute yourself. Just check to make sure your volume is on and it's turned up. Refresh your browser. Sometimes your browser just needs to reset. Don't we all? Try leaving the webinar and rejoining us. If all else fails and you have to leave the webinar, do not fret. We are recording the presentation and will be releasing it in the upcoming days to all of the participants who signed up. We hope that you gain essential knowledge during the webinar that will enable you to be successful in your field of work. Enjoy the presentation. Well, welcome everyone. We are so happy that you have joined us on this lovely afternoon for the 2020 Comprehensive Plan for Reading Achievement Overview webinar. We are super excited that you are here today, and the objective of this webinar is to provide an overview so educators can successfully navigate and use the CPRA. So if as you might have noticed that you were muted when you entered into the room. Also, your camera was deactivated. That is to help with any feedback sounds or anything of that nature that might cause a distraction during the webinar. Also, I want to just make some note of a few things that might be helpful if you do also run into other connectivity issues. As mentioned in the video, I gave you some helpful tips, but there's one more tip I have to give to you, and that is it might be the number of tabs you have open. Now, I know you have tabs open because they are holding space for you, and you might forget something. Oh, okay, just listen to me. If you run into connectivity issues, try closing out those tabs and just leaving this tab open. That can really help. All right, so you might have already noticed there's a chat box over to the side, whichever side is your side. All right, and in that chat box, we're going to be giving out different links to resources and things of that nature throughout this webinar. Also, please place any questions you might have in the chat box, not the Q&A box, but the chat box. That way, everyone can see your question. Also, the panelists will be able to see your questions because they're going to be gathering them so that we can answer questions at the end. So don't forget about that. Put your questions in the chat box. Also, when you do insert your questions in the chat box, please send them to everyone, or you can send them to all of the panelists. All right. So I think that's pretty much all the housekeeping rules I wanted to give out to start off this webinar. I would like to now introduce the Deputy Superintendent of District Support, Dr. Emery. She would like to share a few words before we begin.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for spending time with us this afternoon. We know that you have a lot of things to do, and we appreciate that you would take a few minutes to go through this overview with us. Just want to thank the team for starting off in such a productive way with webinars that allow you to begin to see the comprehensive plan for reading achievement, and encourage you also to tune in to the SOS webinar, which provides a lot of resource and support as well. We know there's been a little anxiety since the board approved this, and we just want to assure you that our goal right now is to create understanding, to provide those supports and tools for you as we work here at the department to collaborate across divisions with our team, our early literacy team, our regional support team, our curriculum standards and instruction team, on how this plan rolls out for you. And so we just encourage you not to worry about, okay, when is this supposed to happen, but more to focus on understanding it. We know some of you are already implementing components of this, and for others, this will be a change and new. And our goal is just to be sure that people are as equipped as possible going forward as we begin to roll into a statewide comprehensive plan for reading. What we know and that we all collectively agree on is that the ability of a child to master reading, particularly before the third grade, has impact on their lifetime trajectory. And all of us want to avail ourselves of all the tools and opportunities and strategies available to ensure that our children in North Carolina learn to read. It is a ticket, it's a passport to anything literally that we want to do as we grow into productive adults. Again, thank you for being here. We're most grateful for your time, and we ask you to hang with us. This team is incredible, and I'm sure there will be a lot more opportunity to learn and grow together as we work towards our statewide comprehensive plan for reading achievement.
Thank you, Dr. Emery, for coming to share those words as well as your support for the CPRA. At this time, I would like to introduce the K-3 literacy team. First, we have Dr. Tara Galloway. She's the K-3 literacy director. We also have Thomas Merritt. He is the regional consultant for the Northeast region. We have Casey Taylor. She is the regional consultant for the Southeast region. We also have Tanya Parrish. She is the regional consultant for the North Central and Sand Hills region, as well as the consultant for charter schools. Mary Durfel, she is the regional consultant for the Piedmont Triad region. Angela Preston, she's the one who is hosting this event. She is the regional consultant for the Southwest region. We also have Kelly Benheim. She is the regional consultant for the Northwest region. And myself, I'm Tiana Pinckney. I am the regional consultant for the Western region. Now, as a K-3 literacy team, we have a vision and mission that encompasses student achievement. Let's talk about our vision. Our vision is to improve student achievement and outcomes in early literacy through supporting evidence-based, high-quality literacy instruction aligned to the science of reading. Our mission is to provide support to ensure all students acquire the foundational literacy skills to read, comprehend, integrate, and apply complex tests necessary for college and career success. Well, for the remainder of the presentation, the screen will be split, where you will see the presentation on one side and the CPRA on the other side, so that you can get a glimpse of the different components we're going to talk about. So don't you worry, you did not press the wrong button, nothing went wrong on your end. The screen is just being split for you right now. As you can see, this is the cover of the CPRA. We are going to scroll down to the table of contents, and in the table of contents, you're going to notice those blue hyperlink components. That's what we're going to be discussing during our webinar on today. All right, let's dive right into this thing. You might have seen that the 2020 Comprehensive Plan for Reading Achievement was released. It's also known as the CPRA. And you're wondering, okay, well, like, why is there a CPRA? Here we go. Let's talk about the purpose behind the CPRA. The CPRA provides guidance to North Carolina educators in order to set each student on a path for success, meeting the North Carolina Standard Course of Study that was adopted by the State Board of Education. This plan also fulfills the Read to Achieve legislative charge of the State Board of Education to develop, implement, and continuously evaluate a comprehensive plan to improve reading achievement in public schools. Now that you know the why behind the CPRA, let's talk about the development. See, the development of the CPRA was a beautiful collaborative journey that involved many local North Carolina stakeholders, as well as national literacy experts who lent their voice and time. And we are forever grateful for this amazing collaboration. All right, let's talk about the people involved. Then we're going to move into the process and the timeline. So here are the people that were involved in the CPRA. There you go. Thank you, Angela. It was the K-3 literacy team, as well as stakeholders from across the state. And there was a cross-divisional representation that was assigned by division directors. Now, those divisions were the Exceptional Children's Division, as well as the Office of Early Learning, K-12 Standards Curriculum and Instruction, and Integrated Academics and Behavior Systems Division. Next, let's talk about the process. So the process for developing the CPRA actually spanned across many months, and they were broken up into phases. We began by building our background knowledge and gathering research. Now, how do we build our background knowledge? Well, we looked at other literacy plans that other states had, and we also collected all of the research that we wanted to use for the CPRA. We established a writing team and a review team during this time period, and this occurred from December of 2019 until January of this year. Next, we embarked in the writing and revising phase that lasted from January to July of this year. Now, this consisted of drafting content, engaging in feedback sessions with the NCDPI divisions that were mentioned earlier, as well as various stakeholders such as North Carolina educators and national literacy experts. Well, they're the ones who provided us with edits as well as revisions, and they gave us guidance on what to include in the CPRA. Finally, the CPRA was presented to the State Board of Education for approval in August of this year, and dun, 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 it was adopted in September. It was adopted on September 3rd, 2020, and we were super excited about that. All right, now that you know the purpose and the process behind the CPRA, let's talk about the format. So, our main goal with the CPRA was to make it a document that was informative and user-friendly because it has 106 pages in it. So we had to make sure that it was definitely going to be those two things. Now, the CPRA is actually divided into components. The plan begins by giving background knowledge, then it delivers information to build one's knowledge, and it ends with resources that align with the content in the CPRA. Of course, it has to be interactive and user-friendly. Now, if you click on certain components within the table of contents as shown earlier, it'll take you right there to that certain component. You might also notice, especially if you're in Adobe, there is a bookmark panel. Now, the bookmark panel is kind of my favorite new tool that I realized about that Adobe does. So in this bookmark panel, it's there for easy navigation. You might find yourself in the appendix section, and you might wonder, I remember seeing something in the science of reading versus scrolling all the way back up to the science of reading section. No. All you have to do is click on the science of reading that's found in the bookmark panel, and it will take you right there in a jiffy. So that's really cool about that navigation tool found in Adobe. Also, throughout the CPRA, you're going to find clickable links, clickable videos, and bookmarks that are going to take you to different resources outside of the plan as well as in the plan. Adobe Reader provides the most optimal viewing experience when viewing the CPRA. Now it's time for us to talk about the components of the CPRA. We've already discussed the purpose component of the CPRA, but there are other components such as transformative equity practices, science of reading, definition of high quality reading instruction. There's a large K-3 literacy section that actually has subcomponents, and they are implementation of evidence-based practices in early reading, leadership, standards aligned instruction, and assessments. Then you also have a resource section, appendices, glossary, and a reference section. So this plan is pretty packed. Let's dive into the CPRA and actually start talking about some of the components. Well, let's begin with the transformative equity practices section that begins on page 5. We had to establish guiding principles that were going to be the foundation for the CPRA. So the writing and review team came together and they established what is known as transformative equity practices. These are the beliefs that undergird effective and sustainable actions for literacy achievement, which affect all learners. I'm gonna say that again. It affects all learners, not some, not most, but all learners. We also wanted to make sure there was an emphasis on diversity, high expectations, the science of reading, differentiation, and multi-tiered systems of support. They were the motivating factors and play a key role within each transformative equity practice. All right, you might be wondering, okay, I know the why behind the transformative equity practices, but what are they? Well, here they go. These are the components of the transformative equity practices. They are: 1, literacy is foundational for all learning. I have to say this one more time. Literacy is foundational for all learning. Number 2, professional learning is imperative because it holds space for educators by providing guidance and support. It's not enough just to tell teachers what to do, but they also need to know the why and the how behind it, and that's where professional learning comes into play. Number 3, engaging in evidence-based decision-making guides any initiative in a strategic manner that is based on facts, not opinions. So we believe if you employ these 3 transformative equity practices, then what you're going to do is help foster achievement for all learners. How many learners? All learners. Good job. I hope you said all. All right. After you venture past the transformative equity practices, you find the science of reading section. This section is found on pages 6 through 18. Well, let's talk about this section. Well, it provides a concise overview of the science of reading. It also outlines key research from the science of reading, which informs instructional practices, and it provides resources to promote further learning about the topic through the clickable links and videos that can be found in this section. All right, let's keep on walking through this plan. Now we're going to encounter the definition of high quality reading instruction, which can be found on page 19. This definition was adopted by the State Board of Education in July of this year, and its purpose is to guide best practices in reading instruction informed by decades of evolving research. After the definition of high quality reading instruction, we come to the implementation of evidence-based practices in early literacy. This can be found on pages 20 through 24. Now, I have to tell you this. I love the entire CPRA, but my heart beats a little bit faster and I get a little bit more joy during this section. I really do find so much joy in this section. Let me tell you why. So we believe that educators across North Carolina have a desire for all learners to learn to read. We also believe that how educators teach literacy is just as important as what they teach in literacy. Well, this is what this section provides. This is the how and the what. And what it does is it focuses on the 4 recommendations found in an amazing guide that's called Foundational Skills to Support Reading for Understanding in Kindergarten through 3rd grade. This practice guide was published by the Institute of Education Sciences, also known as IES. The practice guide also details 4 recommendations for literacy instruction that stems from decades of research that was reviewed by IES. And these recommendations were found to demonstrate improved literacy outcomes. You will have a breakdown of the 4 recommendations along with examples of instructional practices to use with students in this section. We didn't want to just tell you what, but we also wanted to give things that can actually be used, or tasks that can actually be used with students that align to the 4 recommendations. All right, leadership. Let's go into that section. That section is found on pages 25 through 29. Now, the driving force behind reading achievement starts with leadership. And what do we mean by leadership? Well, it extends from the state to school level, and it encompasses administrators, curriculum coordinators, literacy coaches, instructional facilitators, teachers, leaders. Whew, did I leave anybody out? I think that's just to name a few, okay? So this section is dedicated to leaders who are charged with the responsibility of providing and supporting high quality elements that aid in developing reading achievement. Well, here are the components that you can find in this section. You can find implementation practices such as sustainability and aligning literacy systems. You will also find professional learning. We talk about the why, the what of professional learning and how important it actually is for educators. You will also find in this section engaging families and community members, because we all know they are important stakeholders in any school system. After the leadership section, we encounter the standards aligned instruction section. Now, this section can be found on pages 30 through 32, and it provides details about the importance of strongly aligned, high quality core instruction provided to all learners. How many learners? Good job. All learners within a multi-tiered system of support, MTSS. In this section, you can also find resources from the K-12 Standards Curriculum and Instruction ELA Division, as well as the Integrated Academic and Behavior System Division, also known as IABS. And they provide guides for educators in regards to the North Carolina Standard Course of Study, analyzing core instruction, and meeting the needs of all learners. How many learners? All learners. Good job. All right, here we go. Let's talk about assessments. That's the next section. It can be found on pages 33 to 36. In this section, we provide essentials for a comprehensive assessment system that informs instruction, identifies students who are at risk, determine why students are at risk, monitor student growth and progress, as well as determine if outcome goals are being met. The information pertaining to the North Carolina Early Learning Inventory can also be found in this section. In this section, you're also going to find a helpful link that was created by, a helpful link to a site that was created by the Office of Early Learning, where they provide guidance on the inventory. Lastly, Read to Achieve legislative assessment guidelines are also provided here. All right, remember what I told you, how the plan was broken up. It starts out by providing background information, then it builds educators' knowledge, and then we get to the point where you actually have resources that align with the items talked about in the CPRA. See, the resources found here are amazing. They can be found on pages 36 through 41. Additional resources that can be useful for advancing the work surrounding reading achievement can be found in this section. See, this is what you're going to have. You're going to have access to various NCDPI division websites and resources. But we didn't just only give you local resources. We gave you some national resources also to aid with student achievement. All right, here we go. Appendices. That is the next section. Now, before you see the number, yes, that number says pages 42 through 91. And I'm gonna be honest with you, some of you all probably have never even looked in the appendix section. Yes, I said it. Now, some of you all only go to the appendix section for certain things, but let me tell you right now, this appendix section is powerful. You definitely want to go and see the things that are here. So the appendix section is powerful because it provides additional information for items mentioned throughout the plan, as well as many tools that can be used for immediate implementation. Well, let's talk about Appendix A. Appendix A gives you legislation and information about the Read to Achieve law. Then we also are legislation. Then we also have Appendix B. Appendix B has the accountability measures and Read to Achieve EOY results for the 2018-2019 school year, because we mentioned that in the purpose section where we talk about the state of the state. Now, here we go, leaders. This one is for you. In Appendix C, leaders can use the sample observational tool for literacy instruction. Appendix D, remember my heartbeat, it beats a little faster for this one. Appendix D provides instructional routines for educators that where it lists out explicit directions on how to execute various tasks for students. And they're all in alignment with what was talked about in the implementation of evidence-based practices and early reading. Now, as mentioned before, we wanted to make sure that we were not only building educators' knowledge, but we also wanted to make sure that we were providing them with resources and tools that they can actually implement with students. Appendix E. We are so thankful that Dr. Barbara Foreman provided an article that she wrote entitled Compelling Scientific Evidence on Reading Instruction. This can be found there. She provides evidence for how students learn to read and comprehend, as well as a discussion about evidence-based instruction. So I pretty much told you the why for the CPRA. I've given you what the CPRA is and the different components expressed in the CPRA. You might be wondering, okay, Tiana, thank you for all of that, but where can I find the CPRA? That would be amazing if you actually tell me that. I got you. Here we go. This is where you can find the CPRA in our Read to Achieve repository. In a little bit, in the chat box, you're going to receive a link that will take you directly to our Read to Achieve repository. When you get to the home page of the repository, you're going to scroll down a little bit, and right there, you see a button that says Comprehensive Reading Plan. Just click on that button. You're also going to see a PDF link. Once you click on that link, the PDF file for the CPRA will automatically download to your computer. We made it easy for you. Remember, we wanted to make sure that this is going to be user-friendly for you. And there you have it. You have the CPRA right there at your fingertips. If you are watching this recording, don't worry. We have a link for the CPRA on this, this slide right here for you, so you can write it down and access it later. Well, we can't leave without giving you support for this document, right? So at the state level, we plan to support districts with implementation and use of the plan to enhance instruction for all students to improve reading achievement. Well, how are we going to do this? By providing resources on the current science of reading, as well as providing professional development on high quality reading instruction. And we're going to do one more thing. We're going to provide technical support. I'm going to turn the stage over to Angela right now, where she is going to talk about more next steps.
Thank you, Tiana. And we really appreciate you taking time to go through what's inside of the CPRA with us. We wanted to talk about what are the next steps that we can think about within the CPRA. And you might be wondering, where do we go from here? Well, we'd like to wrap up by saying we want to have a heart-to-heart. Given where we are in education within the global pandemic that we're all experiencing, we know that teachers are the true heroes of what they are trying to accomplish, given that they are teaching in-person classes Some are virtual classes, some are doing hybrid classes, and all of the weight that has been added to their jobs. So we really want to emphasize what Dr. Emery had said at the beginning, that we are holding space and understanding there is a lot going on, and that we are not expecting that right now in this moment we need to run forward with this, but really we can take this time to come together as leaders and think through what's the plan going to be for how we can roll this out with our teachers and when we can get them trained. I know some of your districts, some of your classrooms, your teachers, your schools, they might be ready for more. They might already be partway there and they're ready to go. So we wanted to highlight some next steps, some ideas to get you thinking around what's best for your district, for your schools and your teachers. We truly understand. We've all were previous teachers before, so I was in the classroom, and we just want to hold space that we want this to move forward with the support that teachers need for this. So what are some next steps we can do? Well, first is you could go ahead and read and review the CPRA document. Maybe you want to do this on your own or with the team, thinking about the information that you have a stronger understanding of, and maybe highlight some areas that you want to dig deeper into. Well, to dig deeper, you can look at the next steps, which would be talking through some of the different resources that we've been putting out for our districts and schools to really learn a bit more about what is in the CPRA document and how can we help build our own knowledge. So we have a couple resources. The repository that we just went to is one of them. We also have a Hot Summer Topics Padlet that you can access, and the virtual learning space of support, which our SOS webinar is coming up tomorrow, and we will go through deeply what is within the SOS that's ready for teachers right now. It's all based on the science of reading, and all of that information is there. So this is a good place for you to start really digging in and learning a bit more. And then when you feel like you're ready, on page 27 of the CPRA document, you might recognize this roadmap picture right here. We have already included the Implementing Evidence-Based Literacy Practices roadmap from Ariel. And this is a great tool to use to be able to assess, think about where are you right now? What skills do your teams and your teachers already have? What are your strengths? And then what areas are you going to need more support from? So we are really hopeful that these next steps will just give you a bit of the next right step to take in order to get moving forward with this work. And I'm pretty sure that Kelly is sending out some links right now with the Hot Summer Topic. I think I saw that one come up. The repository you have and the virtual learning SOS will send the link to register for the session for tomorrow, and we'll go through that more deeply then.
All right. Thank you, Angela. That was amazing. Thank you so much for that. Well, thank you all for joining us for the 2020 Comprehensive Plan for Reading Achievement webinar. We are very happy that you took time out of your day today. So finally, I want to hold space for any questions that might have been asked that pertain to the CPRA now. Are there any questions that we need to answer?
No questions so far, Tiana.
What? No questions? Oh, okay. Well, there we have it. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for attending. And if nobody told you today that you are amazing, let me be the first one to tell you that you are amazing. You're doing an amazing job, and you're going to keep on doing an amazing job. So go out there and have a life full of joy, peace, and happiness as you venture into the later part of your day today. Thank you all so much for coming. Bye, everyone.